Hey folks, AJ the CEO here, and I get a lot of people that ask me questions when they want to start doing more advanced things at church with their video switchers, with their presentation software. And I really recently had a consultation with a church, and I saw that they was kind of struggling with the flow of how this stuff works. So that's what this video is for, is kind of doing a basics 101 on understanding presentation software. I am going to be using one specific presentation software, but these concepts go along with any of them and, whatever switcher that you want. So hopefully this makes sense. Like I said, I want to start doing a lot more stuff like this and kind of answering the questions that I commonly get. And hopefully this will be a reference to, get you to understand how you can maybe enhance what you're doing at your ministry, or just get a basic understanding on how this stuff works in the first place. All right. So let's go ahead and cut over to Draw.io so we can design this whole thing. So first, I'm just going to use a computer. It can be a Mac or a PC. It doesn't really matter. And we're going to just start with the basics. So we'll just say this is our presentation computer. All right. And then we're going to have, and I'll just use actually, let me do a projector just because that icon is a little bit bigger. All right. So pretty much with your presentation software, and we'll just label this display. Now, what you want to do with your presentation software is you want to present something on the display, right? So typically this could be kind of like, and I'll flash this stuff up here. You want to do lyrics, you want to do video announcements, you want to do scripture, whatever. That's how this is going to work. And I'm going to try and color code this stuff to make this stuff a little bit easier for you to understand. So right now we have the computer screen that the operator is using, and then the secondary output that's just normally on the computer or some type of card or something like that, that allows this signal to be connected directly to your display, your projector, your TV, whatever. And that's how it's going to be done. So now let's say that's all you want to do. And let's go over some of the few things that I've done before. So say we got some televisions inside the sanctuary, or you have them in your overflow, your fellowship hall, or your pastor's office, or anything like that. How would we get this? Now, let's label this blue, and we'll just say this is our audience. So again, this is coming solely from your presentation software, which is either going to be your scripture, your lyrics, presentations, whatever your presentation software is doing, that is what's being presented to what is being connected. So again, we're starting from the basics. We're starting Barney style. So the only thing that can ever go to this display is what comes from the computer. We're not talking about cameras. We're not talking about any of that. But let's actually just put a camera in here just to hopefully make this as simple as possible. So as you can see, if we have a camera right here, and like I said, I'm going to overly simplify this stuff and say this is the internet. This is your Facebook, your YouTube. Let me not say Facebook, because we're talking about not streaming to Facebook anymore. We're talking about going to YouTube or something else. So if we have it set up something like this, the camera is not connected. So the camera can never show up on these displays in this configuration. So if we come in here, like I've done before, and let's move this back some so our name stays here. If we put a HDMI splitter or some type of splitter right here, right? So this is going to be our splitter. So it's splitting the signal that's coming from our computer, and then we can have different connections to each one of these displays. So what's going to show on these displays? The only thing that's going to display on these displays is the same thing that would have been to project from the projector, which is the only thing that's being presented by our presentation PC. Again, you see it's not physically connected, so the camera cannot display on any of these TVs. I hope that makes sense. So if all we're doing is lyrics, video announcements, videos, scripture, whatever, still images, that is the only thing that is ever going to show on these displays. Now, depending on your presentation software, they sometimes man, I sounded real country when I said that. Sometimes you can have different or multiple outputs coming from the system. So say, for example, let's get rid of this connection here. And our presentation software, we have another configuration that allows us, and let's push this down so we can see the separate, and let's do this as orange. This is going to be our confidence monitor. So that is a secondary output that displays something completely different than the audience display. So if we do that, now we have all of these displays are getting our audience, which our audience display from our presentation, which is again, full screen, scripture, lyrics, videos, still images that come from our presentation computer. But with this configuration, we now have a secondary output that will output a confidence monitor, which typically is like black and white and just shows you words and things like that. So that could be notes for the speaker, lyrics for the choir that shows what they're supposed to sing and what they're getting ready to go to next. It can also be a timer. It could also be messages that need to be sent to the pulpit so that no one else can see them except for whoever's on the pulpit. That's what that flow. So I hope that makes sense. Our presentation software can have multiple outputs, but depending on what is connected to it, what display is connected to it, that's what only can be seen. So looking at this color, orange is for our confidence monitor, and it's only going to go to this one display. All the rest of them are going to get the audience display because that audience output from the computer is going into a splitter, and then the splitter is splitting the audience signal into 4 displays, 3 TVs and 1 projector. So I hope you're following me. Now, let's, again, in this situationarian, I was making up a new word. And in this situation, and I was saying situation and scenario, situationarian, I like that. But anyway, in this situation, say we also want to do something else. Again, we're still not showing video because the camera is not connected to this system. All right. So we have this output. Now let's go ahead and add a video switcher into this. How would we do this? So in this scenario, I would put a video switcher in between this, and we'll just say video switcher. And in this scenario, our video switcher has the camera connected to it, and then it's streaming out to the internet if you're using a switcher that's able to do that. Let's say our ATEM, our OC Goes, our AV cans, whatever thing that you want to use. So that's what's going out. Now with our video switcher, let's actually redo the cables here so it makes sense. So this display, the audience display, is going into our video switcher. Our camera is going into our video switcher, and our video switcher can pick which one of these is going to go out to the internet and what's going to go to our displays. So in this scenario, anything that we pick from our video switcher is what's going to show. So at one point, and I wish I changed all of these to the same color, it would make sense, but let's just do it the long way. So in this scenario, the output is black, and I needed to pick a different color because it won't let me pick black. So let's say we change all of these to red, and let's make the camera input red. So in this scenario, if the camera is what the video switcher is picking, that's the signal that goes out into the splitter, which goes to all the TVs. So all the TVs would see the camera, all right? If the video switcher changes and they want to see what is coming out of the presentation system, they press that in the video switcher, and that's what now is showing out here. I hope that makes sense. So the only thing that's going to be seen inside the sanctuary would be whatever the video switcher decides to pick. That could be the audience display from the presentation, or it could be the camera. It is the choice Like the video switcher is like a TV channel. What channel am I going to watch, tune into? And whatever channel you tune into, that's what goes to the internet. That's what goes to the TVs. I hope that makes sense. Because if we don't, it's going to get a lot more complicated. So in this scenario, presentation systems and software sometimes allows you to have multiple outputs. So like ProPresenter will allow you to have as many outputs that the computer can support. So say we have another output here that we want to bring into our video switcher. And let's make this one purple. And we're going to call this lower thirds. Now, what does that mean? In this scenario, we have our audience that is full screen, and I'm flashing this stuff up so you can see my example. This is showing full screen scripture, lyrics, or whatever, right? Then we have another output that's going to convert whatever is in full screen into lower thirds. And we covered this in a video, how to have different displays at the same time. I did that with ProPresenter and I did it with Worship Tools Presenter. So in our presentation software, we can say output number 1, I want you to output full screen everything. Output number 2, I want you to convert whatever is going to audience into a lower third format. Output number 3, we want that to be a confidence monitor. Hope you understand. So let's go ahead and make my job even more difficult. And we're going to undo all of this stuff so we can make it simple for y'all. So if we get rid of all of this and let's put our screens, we're going to do away with the internet. We're going to do away with the camera for right now. So in this scenario, we have 3 separate outputs. They're showing the same content, but it's in a different format. One is going to be full screen. One is going to be in a lower third format. The other one is going to be a confidence monitor. And again, I'm flashing all 3 of these so you see what I'm talking about. So now, understanding the flow of how you want this to work. And this is, hopefully this is meant for another church I just recently talked to. So let's change this just a little bit. And let me see. I'm going to use this IPTV to represent a digital wall because this is a scenario that I've set up quite a few times at some churches. So in this scenario, we have a digital wall that's taking up the majority of space online. In the sanctuary, we want the full screen presentation to always show on the digital wall. We don't want to show the camera in this scenario. We don't want to show the camera because that's just what they want, right? So we got this. So this is always going to show our audience output, which is going to be full screen scripture, lyrics, announcements, all that other stuff. But for online, they want to see everything like in a lower third that takes the bottom of the screen, like you see, because if you show full screen, you're going to be missing. People online are going to be missing what the camera is seeing in the sanctuary, right? So that's why we use this output to do lower thirds and place the lower thirds over top of live video. Our last output is a confidence monitor that's at the back of the church or whatever to show everything for the choir, for anybody that's on the pulpit, so they can see their notes, they can see their songs, they can see their lyrics in a distraction-free way for them to see. So like, again, as a minister of music, I've done the same thing. Have them flash up something on the confidence monitor saying, choir, the next song is this. The congregation don't need to see that, but the choir does. Or somebody can pass a note to somebody on the pulpit saying, hey, a gray car with license plate ABC 123, your lights are on. You can send that message to the pulpit and they can see it. Or more importantly, this confidence monitor, somebody's on your live stream saying, I need prayer. You can send that message to the confidence monitor and it flows smoothly for whoever, the pastor, the minister, or whatever, can see the back wall and see exactly what's going on. That's your flow. Now, how do you integrate all this stuff together? I hope this makes sense because we're going to turn it on its head here in a second. So in this scenario, we're going to bring back our video switcher, all right? And we're going to introduce a couple of splitters here. So let's slide this back a little bit. We're going to call this program. Program means whatever the video switcher decides to pick at the time. I hope that makes sense. Program output. All right. So we got that one. Let's pull this back here and let's pull this up here. So in this scenario, we're going to still have the presentation PC have a direct connection directly to our LED wall. So that means all it's ever going to be able to do is show the full screen presentations from the system. It's not going to be able to show the cameras because it's not connected. All right. So let's run our connections back to our video switcher. So the camera is coming in. We're going to route our lower thirds into here. And we have the output going into our program, which is the same thing that goes to our live stream. So in this simple way, I hate when it does this. Let's draw this one more time. Whatever goes to the live stream in this setup is the exact same thing that everybody sees on the program out. So those are the same. That's why we're using the same color. All right. And let's do a couple of monitors here. And let's just say this is Fellowship Hall and I don't know, overflow. So we just have two examples, right? So say the overflow is like obviously an overflow and they want to be able to see everything. So they want to be able to see the cameras or they want to be able to see presentation. That's going to be dictated by our video switcher. So that output goes to the Fellowship Hall, also goes to our overflow. So these are going to see the same thing. Now, when you say inside of our scenario, they're reading scripture and they put it on full screen so everybody in the sanctuary can see it real big on the screen, the graphic for that, right? They got that and say they're doing the 100th Psalm or something like that. That'll be full screen on here. But for our video switcher, that full screen version of the scripture will be turned into lower thirds so that it is placed over top of the camera through the video switcher. And that's what's shown on the TVs, on the internet, as well as on the TVs. But at the same time, the digital wall only sees full screen version of that. And then with our confidence monitor, they see something different. All right. I hope that makes sense. So with me saying all that, let's give you an example of exactly how that works. All right. So we got everything set up. So let me show you what that looks like. So let me bring over ProPresenter just for right now to kind of show you what I'm doing. All right. So inside of here, I have my scripture showing up and I have a background. That's what's actually showing up. So if I go here to my multi-view, you'll see that all three of these are showing up. Those are the outputs that are coming from ProPresenter in different layouts. All right. And if I went to my screen configuration here, you'll see I have a lower thirds, I have a screen, and I just have this called OBS. Don't worry about that. And then we have our stage display. So we have multiple outputs that format that way. So if I cut back over to my output so you can see all three, this is what's going on. So I am showing the 100th Psalm, verse 1. And as you can see inside of here, it is full screen. And that's the full screen graphics that will be on our LED wall. But our stage display, our confidence monitor is showing what's coming up next. And I don't know why it's not doing the next verse. But let me see if I can I bring a song up? Well, we'll just go along with this and I'll do a song as well too. Normally it would show what's coming up next right up under here. But as you can see, everything that's being displayed is also being done in a lower third. So if I cut back over here and I turn on my DSK, what that looks like, so everybody in the sanctuary would see that full screen version, but everybody online would see something like this, where that graphic is superimposed over top of my video. So in that same example that I showed before, pretty much what's happening is I have the camera going into my video switcher, just like now. This camera is going into the video switcher. My lower thirds is coming into my video switcher, and my video switcher, I'm telling it to superimpose the lower thirds over top of my camera, And that's what the internet sees. That's what the TV sees. So for me, y'all are seeing what the internet sees or what the TVs in this scenario would see. So again, even with this, if I turn it on, that's what's showing up. And that's what will show up on anybody that's online, in your recordings or whatever, based on this scenario. But when it comes to everybody inside the house, this is what they would see. They're not seeing the cameras at all. So they would just see nothing but this. That's all they would see. And that's based on the workflow that we did in this little screen here. So you can play a lot of stuff with this, just knowing the flow. All of this is driven by your presentation software. Almost all of them can do this. Some of them come with a fee. Some of them have them all built in. Doesn't really matter. But I hope y'all understand the flow of this, that when you could just send just the audience out, connected directly to a display, that's all you get. But when you add the extra features and use some of the extra features in your presentation software, that could give you multiple outputs. So like in this scenario, we have the full screen for the audience, we have lower thirds for our online, and we have a confidence monitor for everybody that's on the pulpit. All three are being done at the same time, and then you can integrate that with your video switcher to do more stuff like the lower thirds and things like that we're talking about. I hope that makes sense. I tried to make that as simple as possible. I could get way more complicated than I need to be, but the idea is just understanding the flow. So a lot of people are saying, how do I do both at the same time? I hope this picture represents that. I'll actually put this picture on my website, and I'll have a link in the description for you to understand how that goes. And I hope that makes sense. Please refer back to this video so that if you need help understanding that, but if you need more help than that, know you can go to ajhomes.com/consultations and set up a consultation, and I can design that for you, understand what your current equipment is, and show you how you can do it, or maybe recommend equipment so that you can do something like that. A lot of churches I've seen, like when I just came back from North Carolina, they had, and let me go back to the scenario. I was getting ready to end it, but I want to just be honest with you. Another company came behind and told them that they needed 3 presentation softwares to do this same thing. So they literally had, why is this not moving? So they had literally a computer for this, another one just for a confidence, and then another one just for their live stream. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that in any scenario. And they were paying a license for every single computer when one computer could have done it all. And they just need to configure that flow and understand the flow of what is doing. So again, I hope these videos make sense. And again, we'll do some more of these. Let me know what other type of breakdown that you want me to do. I had it in my mind to do it a different way, but I mean, I think this works. But let me know if you have any other questions and stuff that you want me to go through the workflow, because this is kind of like a breakdown of how I'm going to do the anatomy of a live stream to show how that can work in your whole AV flow for your church. But let me know if you want me to do that, and we'll do that. Maybe not this week, but probably next week or something like that. But I think that's about it. So if you like this type of content, appreciate a like, consider subscribing, hit that bell, that way you get notified when we come out with other videos to help modernize your media ministry. Thanks for watching, folks. This is AJ. Catch you on the next video. Later.